Welcome to episode 2 of Let's Explore Tokyo. I'm Lee.
I'm James.
This episode, we're going to explore a really, possibly the most popular spot for foreign tourists to Tokyo, and that is
Shibuya.
Yeah.
Mostly concentrated on the Shibuya station area. You live very near Shibuya.
Very near, yeah.
So for you, Shibuya is something different. But I think for someone who visits Tokyo for the first time, and for people certainly who are overseas, then what they're imagining is actually what to us is just very much the area directly around Shibuya station.
Yeah.
Pretty much sort of a 5-minute walk in any direction from that.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment of
But there's a lot of stuff there.
The popular areas of Shibuya that come to mind that most people think of.
The crossing.
Yeah, it's actually quite a small area geographically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very small. So from Shibuya Station to, say, the end of Sentagai, which is like the main central shopping sort of street of Shibuya, it's only about 300 meters, maybe, if that.
In the space of 10 minutes, even stopping to take photographs, you could easily have walked out of Shibuya Station, past Hachiko, over the crossing to the end of Sentagai.
Yeah. So as we mentioned before, Shibuya is very, very iconic. It's always been iconic, but I've seen it become even more iconic recently because it always draws in a lot of tourists. But in the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years or so, it's pulled in even more tourists than I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's comparable, Lee happens to live near Shibuya, and I happen to live near Ginza. And I've seen the same in Ginza. Like Ginza was always popular, but I think Ginza tended to be more popular. We'll cover Ginza in a separate episode because it's well worth an episode in its own. But it used to be very popular with, to be fair, probably Japanese people 30 and above who were, perhaps in sort of middle management type jobs and above.
Yeah, maybe got a little bit of disposable income. Yeah,
and it was always a kind of a little bit of, to a certain extent, a mix of the new swanky right next to like old money glamour did already look out of place 10 years ago, and the ones that are still there now look even more out of place. But for some older Japanese people, that's why they go to Ginza, because they have those kinds of shops.
Ginza is still very much the Shibuya for the elderly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, with money, that is. There's a different part of Tokyo, Sugamo, which is
the Shibuya for the elderly.
Elderly Harajuku, isn't it?
Is it Granny Harajuku?
Yeah, but as you said, that's for another episode, another time, I suppose. Yeah, Shibuya, it's even more popular with tourists recently. Like you said, you've seen Ginza become even more focused on tourism. I've seen the same thing in Shibuya, to the point now where I walk through Shibuya, and because I live near there, I go through there regularly. I would say these days it's about at least half the people around Shibuya are tourists.
Seems to be a lot of Asian tourism in terms of South Koreans and Chinese and Taiwanese.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah. I guess any famous location is an interesting barometer of the times, and Shibuya is certainly the change of Shibuya over the last 10 years in terms of who is in Shibuya is a real interesting picture of how the economic strengths have kind of changed and molded in Asia. Yeah.
I think what we're seeing with Shibuya now is it's always traditionally been the young person's area of Tokyo. Now I've seen it very much change to the tourist part of Tokyo, and more and more of those sort of youth-centric businesses and services or whatever are moving away from Shibuya now. It's become very heavily tourist focused.
So they're going to like Harajuku or Meiji-Jingu? Or?
Yeah, more towards Harajuku. Yeah, Harajuku and sort of maybe Aoyama or Motesando area for that sort of 20-something market.
Yeah.
Mostly into fashion and stuff, but yeah, Shibuya's changed a lot in that respect. So anyway, it's pretty busy. Don't be surprised if you come out of Shibuya Station and it's extremely busy these days.
And there are lots of people with little suitcases. And sometimes big suitcases. The trick in Shibuya is to get to... the trick in any major hub of Tokyo is to get to know the underground passages.
Oh, yeah.
Because actually, when we get to Shinjuku, I lived in Shinjuku for a number of years.
Oh, God, please tell me how to get through Shinjuku, because I still...
So this is the thing, is that...
have nightmares.
I think Shinjuku's not so... And again, we'll cover this. Shinjuku definitely deserves a whole episode, maybe even 2. But Shinjuku it's probably not so, but it's very busy and people often go there and have to go there for certain things. I don't think anyone really loves Shinjuku. I really, really like Shinjuku, but I think only because I know the underground passages really well. So I totally feel at home in Shinjuku.
You must be the only man in all of Japan who knows all of the under passages in Shinjuku Station.
But street level Shibuya is, if you're a tourist or then you want to see street level Shibuya because that's where everything that you want to take pictures of is. And Shibuya Crossing, there'll be people going there back and forth to work, there'll be Japanese people out drinking with their friends, and there'll be a lot of tourists with little suitcases that are bumping into you. And again, not a complaint, it's just like because they're walking and going, oh, this is the famous cross. I don't think everyone realizes that you come out of the station and you're at the famous crossing.
Yeah.
So they're kind of stopping and going, oh right, this is it, and taking pictures.
Yeah, I was going to say a similar thing that you just mentioned about you're coming to Tokyo and you're going to spend more than a few days in one location, learn the underground passwords. Because, that's a really, really good point. Being a local of Shibuya, I use the underground passageways to get from point B, C, or D to Shibuya Station all the time.
So you go Dogenzaka to the JR line completely underground?
Yeah, or coming from Sentagai, I take the underground passageways to get to the station from that way as well.
Yeah.
Because, as we just mentioned, it's so busy. It's so busy. And Shibuya, again, is quite a geographically very small area.
Yes.
So it gets very, very crowded very easily everywhere you go. Luckily, Shibuya Station is not like Shinjuku Station, which has hundreds of miles of tunnels.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
If someone says to you, there's no more useless instruction or agreement in Japan than two people saying, okay, I'll meet you in Shinjuku.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's like, you have to be really clear which exit you mean. Yeah.
Luckily, Shibuya is nowhere near as bad as Shinjuku
Probably
in that
20
respect.
though, eh?
Yeah, you still, if you're going to be meeting people at Shibuya, you still need to be specific, which is why people always say Hachiko.
Yeah.
Let's get into the sort of little mini tour of the place then.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you're probably going to arrive at the station, right?
If you're a tourist, then you likely have arrived via the Yamanote Sen.
Probably.
So you're coming
So
downstairs.
it's the easiest to locate and navigate, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's the green line that circles around Tokyo.
Yeah.
The good thing about the Yamanote line is, because it's in a circle, you miss your stop, you just get out, cross over the other side of the platform, the next train will take you back to where you just went by.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. The Yamanote line is actually, it's good.
It's really good. It's a reason why it'll be the line of choice for getting around Tokyo, because it's one, it's a loop, and two, it's kind of famous. But yeah, you get off at Shibuya Station, you probably arrive at JR, but there are also about 3 or 4 Ginza subway line, Hanzomon,
the Fukutoshin
line, and I think that's it for subway.
I think there is.
Oh, there's the Keio Inokashira line also.
That's right, yeah.
Not a subway, but it
overground private railway. Yeah.
But as you take a walk down the stairs from the JR Yamanote line platform down towards, it's just called Hachiko exit, isn't it? And you'll see like the big, huge plaza in front of the Tokyo department store.
Yep.
And you probably won't be able to see Hachiko at first.
There's often, or at least there used to be, you'll know a lot better. I haven't been to Shibuya for quite a while, a couple of years at least. Regularly there used to be students, and they'd often have things like free hugs. Yeah, sort of slightly quirky.
They still do
little
that.
Events. You don't really get things like, dancers or anything. You said, like other areas, like I remember in Osaka, I was always surprised at Umeda. There's lots of bands, which was quite cool. You'd see a lot of that. But you don't really get that in Tokyo so much. Sorry, parts of Tokyo that are well known.
Harajuku, you might get that in around Yoyogi Park, but not many places. No.
There's often some kind of there's a couple of quirky things might be there.
Yeah, free hugs, palm reading, that sort of thing.
They sometimes give blood. Which would do the vans there, and you're like, I wonder what quirky. Oh, they just want us to give blood.
And because of all the throngs of humanity you'll see when you come out of the station exit there, you probably won't be able to see Hachiko at all.
Hachiko is like you're 4 meters away from Hachiko, but you won't be able to see it.
So you just basically just keep walking straight from the exit.
Follow the tobacco smoke. No?
Yeah, because there's.
No, I don't. That's one thing I don't like about that area is that
there's a massive smokers area. Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
Right next to the most popular meeting area.
Yeah, really close to Hachiko.
Yeah, it's not good, that.
But yeah, Hachiko is not too, the statue that is not too hard to find. You just follow the hordes of people who are all meeting. They'll say, I'll meet you at Hachiko. Like the million other people who are waiting for their friend there as well.
I got to the point where when I was going there semi-regularly, I guess, I would always just say to people to meet me at the Koban. Because a little police box, a Koban is a police box. It's a good thing to know, actually, in Japanese, if you're coming here as a tourist, Koban. Because if you go to a Koban as a tourist, well, I mean, if you go to a Koban as anyone, right? Japanese police are generally very helpful and polite, very rarely speak English, but I think if they can see that you're a tourist, I mean, they'll do anything they can.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and those police at the Koban at near Hachiko,
a lot of them speak English.
A lot of them do speak English, and they're super helpful because they just get inundated with
mostly directions.
Where's such a I do feel sorry for those guys. They must get the same question all day.
Where's 109? Like, turn around.
Yeah. So you got Hachiko statue there. Right next to Hachiko is like the old green tram. It was one of the old trams that used to run on the streets of Tokyo, and they've kept that as a kind of feature. You can go inside it, take pictures. It's a popular. I think it's quite popular on Instagram.
All right.
Yeah, as well as Hachiko statue itself.
So who is Hachiko? Is it so well known?
I think he's fairly well known.
It is. He made a film with Richard Gere. And yeah.
Less said about that, the better.
His owner died, but he kept going to the station to meet him. So he's a sign of just enduring love, and I guess also just the fact that dogs are very loyal. Yeah.
That's a very heartwarming story, isn't it? Yeah.
Little Hachiko. So they built a statue.
Particularly on Saturdays and Sundays. Actually, Sundays, I'd say, is even busier because Sunday is guaranteed day off for everybody in Japan.
Yeah.
Whereas Saturday, a lot of people are still actually working.
Yeah.
Hachiko area is always extremely busy. Sunday afternoon is extremely busy.
Yeah.
You might not be able to get a good photo on a Sunday afternoon. So just a word of warning there. I would recommend going on a weekday, morning, afternoon, that sort of thing. Yeah. If you want to get good pictures around Shibuya, it's often way too crowded on a Sunday. Because Shibuya is so small, it's very easy to find the next sort of really big popular spot that maybe guys like you and I is not so popular, but it's extremely popular with teenage girls, and a lot of the teen youth scene sort of centers on 109.
Yeah.
Which is the department store.
Even by the time I got to Japan, I was too old for 109.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too. What is 109 exactly? I
think it's a 6 or 7 story building, maybe higher. I'm not sure.
It's not that
And it seems
big.
to be boutiques, but not expensive boutiques. Like, I guess like H&M, I think is a similar kind of brand in terms of its
quality level,
Yeah, current fashions, the things that are the most current fashions, but built in a way that they're not built to last, they're built to be fashionable and cheap. And I think 109 is mostly that. So I think that's why it's always kind of still
for
famous.
Girls, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like whatever the latest trends are, the girls who shop regularly in 109 will be wearing those trends,
Yeah. You can't really miss 109. You go across the crossing.
I mean, again, like we're hammering this home, but the geographical area is so small.
Yeah, it's really not big at all. So you go across the main Shibuya crossing.
You take most of your pictures within a 100-meter radius, almost. Yeah.
It has to be said about the crossing. It's one of the reasons why I always use the underpass, because Sentagai, Shibuya Crossing, Hachiko area, which are all pretty much in a straight line of each other. It's so busy all the time, and like I said, these days, I'm not having a dig at people bringing their suitcases, but you get a lot of people, tourists these days, with big suitcases dragging them along for filling up with shopping.
That's the thing I guess.
That's mostly a Chinese thing.
It seems for them a lot of hassle as well. You're like, wouldn't you rather just, okay, if you're going to be buying a ton of stuff, I guess it makes sense, but it seems like a hassle for you and the other people around you, but
Yeah. I will say,
as you say, it's becoming a touristy area, and tourism is good for the economy. So if they come here and that's what they do, then that's sure.
Yeah. I guess all I'll say is that be careful. It is a real road crossing.
Yes, that's important to emphasize. Is that it's a busy road crossing. So when the lights are flashing, don't be stopping to take a picture.
Yeah.
Again, in Japan,
and that's happening a lot recently.
Yeah, and people in Japan, drivers as well, are considerate, but at the same time, they might be on the way to work or whatever, and they definitely will not hit you, right? But you'll be you'll get a lot of honking, and you'll be, you will be...
You'll be holding up traffic.
Yeah, you'll be a pain. You'll be a certifiable pain in the behind to lots of people.
It's a road. It's a busy multi-lane road intersection, and just last year there was a famous case in the news. On a busy afternoon, a guy deliberately drove through Shibuya Crossing knowing that the lights were red at the time, and he was angry and he was very ticked off or whatever, and nearly hitting several people. And there's footage of a little Japanese oji-san, which basically means like middle-aged to elderly guy. Yeah. This man just getting really irate and angry and sort of slapping the car as it goes by, which is quite funny, kind of sweet in a way. Yeah. It's potentially dangerous. So remember, it is a crossing. By all means, get pictures. Be careful taking selfies. I don't know. As a local of that area, I try to avoid it because it gets clogged up. People taking selfies in the middle of a street, it's kind of dangerous. Yeah, not just cars, but people are also trying to get to and from work as well. So just be aware of that. Anyway.
You cross there and then you're at 109.
You're pretty much at 109. Well, it's not quite on the same side.
Well, no, you're right. You get to Sentai first.
Yeah, you're at the entrance to Sentai, which Sentai is basically...
ABC Mart.
Yeah. Yeah, There
isn't actually that much on Sentai, or Basketball Street is.
Yeah, it's about a 150 meter strip of shops and restaurants, etc. It's the hub of Shibuya, hence it's called Sentai.
Yeah.
And years ago, they tried to change the name to Basketball Street because some old fuddies in Parliament thought, well, there's too many strange young folk hanging around there at night, and Sentai has a bad reputation, so we should change the name to Basketball Street. Thankfully, that failed, and no one ever referred to it as Basketball Street.
It's Sentai.
It's still Sentai. So, yeah.
And again, I like the fact that an undesirable part of town in Japan is just that there are young people loitering.
I know. Yeah.
It's just like, things could be way worse.
Way worse.
And Sentai still is the place where if you drop your wallet, you 90% chance you're going to get it back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so that's still the kind of area.
There's nothing really dodgy going on Sentai at all. No. Next, just across the adjacent street to the entrance to Sentai, you'll see 109.
Yeah.
109 is kind of the start of Dogenzaka, which Zaka means hill or slope. Keep going up Dogenzaka, you'll go towards, I believe it's not too much up. There's a big Uniqlo there, which is very popular. We've talked about Uniqlo before, haven't we? Yeah. Big Uniqlo up there. There's also a large Hooters. Yeah, a few floors up.
I remember there's a British pub that is above a Royal Host.
There's a Royal Host there, and there's the Dubliners.
That's it.
Irish bar there as well.
There's also Dogenzaka is the red light district.
Yeah.
Well, supposed to be.
Which is,
I mean, it's good. It's not that dodgy at all, which is good for most people that are there. There are a number of love hotels, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can imagine what I like the fact they're called love hotels. Or like, I'm pretty sure a lot of the patrons are not necessarily in love in these hotels that you rent by the hour. But anyway,
some nightclubs around there.
A couple of nightclubs. And the nightclubs are just regular nightclubs. They're not
which kids go to,
A couple of adult goods stores, one or two.
As far as I've seen, there really is only like one or two shops. Yeah. And that does not a red light district make in my books.
Yeah. So I think Dogenzaka, again, it's more sort of... It's a bit seedy, but it's not that bad.
Not really.
Yeah.
But I suppose by elderly Japanese standards, it's a bit...
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Goodness me.
Oh, the humanity. But it is quite funny that it's also just so close to everything else. But again, that's probably why it's not so seedy, because it is...
It's ridiculously
like
close.
A stone's throw away from 109.
So that's Dogenzaka. There's not much to Dogenzaka really. Most people spend most of the time getting the typical street picture photo of Shibuya around Sentai area, the crossing in Sentai. And there's also that big famous building that has the Tsutaya, the music and DVDs.
Starbucks
and it has the big Starbucks.
Yeah.
You can try that Starbucks if you like, but you'll be extremely lucky to get a table. Extremely lucky.
I don't think those seats are ever empty, because it's 24 hours at Starbucks,
never empty,
isn't it?
Yeah. As you walk up Sentai, and it's really only like 100 or so meters.
There's a couple of big shoe stores. There's ABC.
I
don't know, ABC Mart.
Yeah. And there's the new Mega Don Quixote store, which opened up a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's on Sentai now.
Yeah, well, there's a back entrance that backs out onto Sentai, and the front entrance is on the same. It's almost next door to H&M.
Oh, they just made it bigger.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's about 5 or 6 levels, and it's a much bigger store. Don Quixote
is brilliant.
Yeah, it's all over Japan, and it's
Don 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 Donkey.
That's the song,
Donkey
yeah.
Hote. And you
They
hear it in the
sell-
store, yeah.
Yeah, they sell everything, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
And really cheap. They sell
And the,
junk
the
cheap
bigger
brands.
ones have a pet section as well.
Yeah, they sell junk brands, but they also sell real brands too.
Which are locked behind glass cabinets.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Mega Donkey in Shibuya is...
Is it called Mega Donkey?
Yeah, because it's
Oh, good.
bigger than the regular one.
Right.
It's very, very popular with tourists. They do have English-speaking staff. They got a lot of Chinese-speaking staff too.
Right.
And if you look for H&M, which is sort of on the street behind Sentai, you'll find the front entrance of Mega Donkey. It's on the...
You need to go to Don Quixote.
Yeah, it's next door. Don Quixote is good fun.
Yeah.
You can buy a lot of the cheap touristy tat that you might want to find just for a bit of fun, you know.
Yeah.
I love Tokyo shirts, that kind of thing.
I mean,
you know.
Don Quixote, you could walk in, come out 2 hours later with a couple of really tacky I Love Tokyo t-shirts, pen with like a little bobbly statue on it of like Doraemon, a rice cooker, a brand new leather belt, a pair of shoes, 3 packets of instant ramen, and a Bulgari watch.
Yeah.
Because all of those things are on sale in Don
Yeah.
Quixote.
It's a bit of a sensory overload, isn't it? When you go in
and
there.
a TV.
Yeah.
You're just like, where'd you get that? I got it all in Don Quixote. And Mega Donkey must be even more so.
Sentai also, which is very popular, if you are either vegetarian or you cannot eat pork because of your religious beliefs, Koko Ichiban, which is a famous Japanese curry chain.
So Japanese curry is not curry. Japanese curry is kare.
Yeah.
And it's quite distinctly different. It's always sweet.
Yeah.
Tends to. You can make it different, but
Yeah.
in general it's sweet. And it's super popular.
Because it's quite cheap. And there's a famous chain of curry shops called Koko Ichiban. There's one in Sentai. My wife and I were there for lunch last year. And my wife was the only Japanese person in there at the time. The staff all speak English. We were reading the menu on there, and they said they are halal certified. They have a lot of vegetarian options.
Right.
No, they're not kosher. Various items have not been cooked with pork in it or near.
Fair play, yeah.
Yeah, if you're a vegetarian or you can't eat pork, look for Koko Ichiban.
Yeah.
They're not just in Shibuya, they're everywhere.
This is an interesting thing about Japan. Again, we touched on this last week, or last episode, and worth going on again is Japanese food. Japan is built on curry rice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Curry rice is the fuel of Japan. Well, the fuel of the office worker, yeah. Like every Japanese company that's an old established company that has a canteen like in the building, like the office canteen, the staple food, the like 300 yen special every day will be a vat of Japanese curry. And almost all people will get it.
And it's great.
Yeah, it's just pleasant stodge.
Yeah, it's the default option in cafeterias, isn't it? Because if you don't like the sort of traditional Japanese teishoku set lunch meal, it might have a grilled fish. You think, I don't like that. Or it's got some natto and some tofu. I don't really... And you say, well, I'll just have the curry rice. Because they will always have a big vat of curry rice, like you said.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I think all Japanese... But yeah, almost all, and I think actually all Japanese kids love curry.
What's the first
curry
thing
rice.
they learn to cook in school?
Yeah.
I don't know about your country where you're listening, but when I was a student in New Zealand, one of the first things we learned to cook was actually scones.
Right.
Because scones are incredibly easy to make. Flour, water, and you put some fruit in it if you want. Stick
And they
them
are
in the
the
oven.
fastest food of all.
Yeah. But it was just something that teaches us how to use the oven, basically,
right.
without killing ourselves.
I think in Scotland we probably still made deep fried Mars bars first before anything else.
Probably, yeah. But I know in Japanese schools, it's very often curry rice. They get the kids to make their own curry rice because
There you go.
you can't really go wrong with it.
No, and Koko Ichiban does not go wrong.
Yeah. Koko Ichiban's great.
Because actually,
We
Koko
should
Ichiban...
hit up Koko Ichiban for a deal, shouldn't we?
Yeah, they're great, but they are great because actually you can go in. Okay, the rice, the curry itself is probably a bit sugary. It's too sugary for me. Well, sorry, not too sugary. It's a bit sugary, and I'd rather it was less sweet, but I can live with it because you can actually order to just have curry and rice, which consists of the curry sauce with spinach, egg, corn, tuna,
cheese.
Yeah, you can put whatever you want, and it can be It's never going to be super healthy, right? Because it is curry rice, but you can make it reasonably healthy, or you can have it with fried chicken in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, which is really good. It's one of my favorites, actually.
You could have it with fried chicken, cheese, and chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'd be like, if that's what you want, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And say, and I want the rice extra big and the sauce extra sweet. And about, sure enough, here you are.
Yeah.
And it will still cost you less than $10.
And these days, yeah, if you can't eat pork, you're fine.
There we
with
go.
Koko Ichiban, yeah. I'm trying to think of the
Yeah,
other
so
places.
anyway, this episode's about Koko Ichiban.
Making me hungry now. Those are pretty much the main areas, aren't they?
That really are the main areas, yeah.
I guess we should maybe sort of impart some of our locals' knowledge of the place that may or may not be of interest to anybody coming to Shibuya for the first time.
Because actually, outside of the central area, no one really goes. Like it's a strange recommendation, but the Cerulean Tower Hotel is a nice hotel. It's in a quiet part of Shibuya for a like a kind of, I guess it's a luxury hotel to a certain extent. For a luxury hotel in Shibuya, the coffee and stuff isn't that expensive, whereas some of the luxury hotels in Shibuya, coffee is insanely expensive. So the Cerulean Tower can be a bit like, you know what, we're in Shibuya, we've got some more stuff to do in Shibuya, but we need like an hour just to be a bit less hectic. Then yeah, I'd wander over to the Cerulean Tower, or maybe the Tokyo Hotel, which is above the Tokyo department store,
because you also get great views of the crossing.
Yeah,
from
they have
there.
a really big atrium, which is a coffee shop. So in Shibuya, going off the beaten track even a little bit, you'll find it's considerably quieter.
Actually, anywhere in Tokyo, but really good point. Those are good recommendations. I'd also recommend, if you just want to get away from the masses of people there, let's say you've seen the crossing, you've seen Hachiko, you've done Sentagai, and you want somewhere just a little bit quieter but still in Shibuya, I would recommend any of those places that James just recommended, but also effectively the other side of the station. And that is, as you come out of Hachiko, take a right turn, walk under the Yamanote Line train tracks, and keep going to it. It's an area called Miyamasuzaka, which is like the opposite side of Dogenzai.
Miyamasuzaka is on the way to Omotesando then.
Yeah, it's
on the way
more
to Aoyama.
It's also, there's a big wide main road there called 246 Nihon Roku, which goes towards Roppongi. Also, if you keep going up there, you keep going up 246, you'll end up going through Aoyama and eventually into Roppongi. But it's not a nice walk because it's a busy road.
Yeah.
But anyway, in that vicinity, Miyamasuzaka area, it's much quieter. And there's lots and lots of cafes, restaurants. There's a couple of really cool...
We used to go to a place fairly regularly, which is just up that hill.
It's changed names a few times now, and it's getting quite close to the Aoyama area because there's a few... Well, there's Aoyama Gakuin, and the university around there. So a lot of the students hang around there, and they go to these sort of quite spacious cafes. A little bit pricey, but they're a lot more spacious. They're a lot less crowded, and they're just a lot more chilled out sort of vibe. Because 90% of the business and the action and the people in Shibuya are around Hachiko and Sentagai. So you go around Miyamasuzaka area, or anywhere getting more towards the direction of Omotesando. It's a little bit less crowded, and it's quite a nice walk going from Shibuya to Omotesando actually.
That's a nice walk. Because Shibuya to Ebisu is, as you said, just the main road. And actually, after the further you get away from Shibuya Station and until you get into the vicinity of Ebisu Station, there's just offices. There's really
it's
nothing
not very
on that
exciting.
road.
And it's a little bit
I think it's
daunting.
like a freshness burger. That's about it.
It's not the type of area that, if you're not familiar with
you
Shibuya
probably
or
think
Tokyo,
you were lost.
Like a lot of, not just Tokyo, but anywhere in Japan, there's often not just one street. It's like, I want to walk from Shibuya to Omotesando. Luckily, you can do that. You can just follow Meiji-dori and do that. But if you want to walk from Shibuya to Daikanyama or Nakameguro or Ebisu, there isn't necessarily just one road you just follow. There's just a myriad of little roads and back alleys that you'd have to go through. You get lost easily. It's nice. It's quiet, but it's not super interesting. But it's...
I mean, we'll do that when we do the Omotesando episode, is link it again to Shibuya. But you're right, Shibuya to Omotesando is a pleasant walk, and you also have that on
and it's not far.
On weekends, you have the United Nations building have little events, often kind of farmers markets and stuff. They're good.
Also, the opposite direction, if you want to get away from it all, there's a cool little area which it's getting towards the suburb I live in. If you keep walking through Sentagai and you just keep going straight up Sentagai, you'll see like an Outback Steakhouse, and you just keep going. And you walk along this sort of back alleyway that stretches, that goes all the way up to Yoyogi Park station entrance. that's a cool little area. There's lots and lots of little izakayas, little sort of unique shops.
Yeah.
Nothing adult or anything, but there's a lot of shops that sell just very... I think there's a shop that sells stuff made by that Japanese rock group V6.
All right.
It's just that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's all these cool little cafes, bars, restaurants, izakayas. There's a coffee shop called Fuglen along that street.
Right.
Along that sort of alleyway.
Yeah.
Which is a Norwegian outfit.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's very, very popular. A lot of people take pictures of it all the time. But also on that same street, closer to the Shibuya end, there's a beer, like a craft beer place called Earl.
EARL?
Well, my Scandinavian friends will pronounce it correctly. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Earl, O with little dots in front of it,
right.
above it, and L,
right.
which my Swedish mate John told me that's Swedish for alcohol.
Oh, okay.
They do craft beer and stuff, but it's that sort of place. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It takes you from Sentagai and Shibuya all the way up to Yoyogi Park. So there's a lot of little nooks and crannies to Shibuya that are quite interesting and much, much, much quieter than the big bustling tourist spots of Sentagai and Hachiko. And the vibe definitely changes. Like I said, the Miyamasaka side is very studenty. The side I was talking about that leads up towards Yoyogi Park, the back alley sort of with all the shops and stuff, is a little bit hipstery.
Right. So you're outing yourself as a hipster?
Well, I do have a beard. Okay, so we've somewhat explored Shibuya there.
Yeah. I think we've touched on the main points, and hopefully it gives people, it's a bit of a companion piece, and broad strokes are there.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like anywhere, you want to come here with a bit of information, but you don't want people dogmatically do this, do that. So, yeah, within what we've said, hopefully I'm sure you will find Shibuya fun and interesting.
If you found this kind of helpful, or you've been to Shibuya before, why not leave us a comment on Twitter at Tokyo Explore.
So it's @TOKYO EXPLORE.
Yeah. And we're also on Instagram. Just Let's Explore Tokyo on Instagram. We've also got YouTube, and we'll be venturing out into Shibuya to shoot some video for this, actually.
Yeah.
So we thought, why not get out there, show the good people what Shibuya is like on a street level.
That's it.
Yeah.
Take it to the street.
Why not drop us a comment on Facebook or Twitter if you like Shibuya, you've been there before, and also if you think we missed anything.
Yeah, definitely
leave a comment as well. We're on iTunes also. You can leave a comment there too. Helps us out a lot. And any of the other big podcast platforms too.
Great.
Okay. So we'll see you next time
when we explore another part of Tokyo.